Friends or Enemies by Cindy and Ocean, narrated by Jesse. This story comes from a true event that did not come true. How can that be? It doesn't make sense, does it? The answer to this will make it make sense. The answer to that riddle will only be revealed at the end of the story. This is a combination of Tribute to the Vortex and Popcorn Tycoon. The Vortex was an interactive fiction game skill on Google and Alexa. Popcorn Tycoon outlasted it. Boppet and Torque's games also make appearances, being some of Ocean's and Cindy's favorites to play. So not a fan fiction in the strict sense, this story veers into fan fiction territory, but has none of the notoriously boring and obnoxious trends found in most fan fiction. The story is also a faux fiction. That's FOE. Opposite of fan fiction towards certain media franchises that have become enormous memes in society. This is also a form of self-therapy, an outlet for close friends to process and work through some experiences as well as nightmares they've had. Let's commence. Chapter 1. Cindy and Ocean Elf were best friends. Their friendship had started gradually and grew stronger over a few years. They met on an internet chat group and had been secretly impressed with each other and too shy to tell each other outright for a long time. It took some experiences, such as both of them being greatly bothered by a few troublesome people and dealing with the deaths of loved ones, for Ocean Elf and Cindy to start talking privately more as just in the chat groups. Ocean showed support when Cindy's granny passed, and Cindy did likewise for Ocean when her mother passed several months later. Both had kept their friendship intact and growing stronger after Cindy got a particularly divisive person out of her life. But that still left Miranda Pinsley, another person who didn't seem so divisive at first. But she had a myriad of problematic behaviors that eventually revealed her to be just as bad, if not worse. The only good thing to come out of any association with Miranda Pinsley was that Ocean was introduced to Alyssa through Miranda, and over time Alyssa would become best friends with Ocean and Cindy. This was definitely not what Miranda had intended, however, and Ocean would eventually figure Miranda's awful conniving out over time. Miranda had given Ocean the first impression of being a sweet but flighty and insecure person with some possible mental development issues, having been extensively bullied and victimized by many people. But that didn't mesh with Miranda's shallow, uncaring attitude toward deeper matters while freaking out over small things no normal adult would. Her behavior got more pronounced and confusing over time. Ocean and Cindy stuck it out with her as long as they did more out of sympathy than anything else and the hope that things would eventually improve. Cindy and Ocean pitied Miranda, though secretly they were increasingly annoyed and weirded out by her. Miranda always had to be center of attention. She was loud, obnoxious, and drowned out other people in chats. She would talk and laugh loudly over anyone.
Wow! Oh, wow!
Produce insane amounts of belching, long, loud, or both. Drudge up tales of her supposed victimhood from the past which Ocean initially believed.
Yeah, there was another guy. Oh my God.
Once she was sure she had Ocean in her corner, that mask slipped to reveal bragging and eagerness to correct people.
In fact, I know the entire armed forces. Salute. Army, Navy, Coast Guard, Air Force, Marines. Yep. Actually, the younger voice you hear, that's Luke. The older voice is Anakin. Listen to the difference. What you were trying to say, Ocean, is team talk.
She would revert back to her sickly sweet persona when she perceived Ocean and later Cindy getting annoyed or frustrated with her. That guttural quality would vanish completely, replaced by her heady sing-song voice.
Hey, Ocean.
And talk obsessively about Star Wars. Cindy and Ocean tried to show her a good time in real-time chats, but the truth was that when Miranda left the chat, things became much more comfortable as everyone engaged in friendly, laid-back chatter. But Miranda would soon come back into the chat, and ears would bleed again. Miranda often brought up the idea of wanting to meet Cindy and Ocean in person, and neither of them desired any such thing. Cindy was far too weirded out by Miranda's childish, overbearing nature. Ocean was far more irritated with Miranda than she'd let on to Cindy or anyone else. Miranda took up so much of Ocean's time and sapped her energy. Ocean had hoped this clinginess would subside after a few months, but it only got worse with time. Miranda called Ocean many times, day and night, including calling her at work. She kept ordering her to check her email at all hours of the night, pestering her to keep working on this story or that project, even to the extent of telling her to work on the Star Wars story when offline. Miranda could talk about two things forever: people she decided to hate and Star Wars. She was so shallow that she refused to get a known liar out of her life just because they were working on some silly text adventure together, and she wanted to drag Ocean into it. She held a grudge against someone else for years, all because that person had made fun of her Star Wars addiction and removed her from an email chat list. Miranda was incredibly bossy and arrogant, ordering Cindy around during live chats, even going as far as telling her to shush and let me finish, or telling Cindy to turn off whatever was making noise in her house to talk to her. Miranda was as much of a nuisance to Ocean, and she kept pestering Ocean to let her send things to her through Dropbox. Ocean accepted a few things but refused most, saying if she wanted whatever Miranda offered, she could easily get it herself. She had suffered through listening to Miranda's raging over how some other person had deleted a bunch of stuff Miranda had sent, and Miranda acted as if that was the worst thing he'd ever done. Ocean had no intention of being the next person to get bashed by Miranda over the next Dropbox file deletion fit. Miranda gave off the vibe that she wanted to be the greatest hero to everyone, and this irritated Ocean to no end. When Ocean's mother passed, Ocean was devastated. But Miranda continued being intrusive. She would not leave Ocean alone, and her messages seemed more like, "Look at me. I am the one who cares about you, Ocean." She made Cindy feel crowded out. She also forced Ocean to remain offline much more than she wanted to be. Ocean wanted to go to her good friends for support, but she could not, because every time she turned her phone on, Miranda would call within minutes or even seconds. It was really creeping Ocean out as well as irritating her to the core. Ocean was glad for any chance to talk to someone other than Miranda in these chats, and Cindy and Alyssa were a great comfort to her. Miranda kept bothering them with her Star Wars, even though Ocean had told her straight up that she had no interest in it. Since her mother died, even the thought of wasting time indulging Miranda's Star Wars made Ocean feel sick to her stomach. Miranda didn't care, and just kept on spamming Star Wars into their chat messages, real-time chats, and everywhere else besides. Right around the time of Cindy's grandmother's death, Miranda had deluged Cindy with Star Wars to the point of indecency. She did not leave concerned messages for Cindy. Instead, she had Star Wars characters via voice-changing applications, babbling on about themselves, telling Cindy that her granny was now one with the Force. From that time, Ocean and Cindy began getting much closer. Ocean was there when Cindy needed some comfort, and they got in touch with Alyssa about the Miranda problem. Each found out that Miranda had been manipulating them separately after they had disallowed her Star Wars in their group chats. None of them wanted it at all, no matter what or where the chats took place. They were sick of being treated as Miranda's living playthings. From then on, Cindy, Ocean, and Alyssa increased their efforts to get their lives back under their control. They would not let her push them around, flood them with Star Wars, call them at all hours, treat them like idiots, and they would no longer reach out to her, or be there to babysit her at every beck and call. Miranda took this badly, and she kept causing fights, especially about Star Wars. Cindy and Ocean would shut the drama down, and Miranda would keep restarting it. She went as far as threatened to take down her own group and blame that on Cindy and Ocean as well, so she could gossip and whine to other people about them. She also tried to hog Cindy to herself while giving Ocean the silent treatment. This was after Ocean shut down the group that had been used for role play. It had been intended as a general role play, but Miranda turned it into Star Wars and even tried to mix in the dreaded My Little Pony. Miranda did not care that Cindy couldn't care less about Star Wars anymore. She needed someone to fill the void left by Ocean, who used to indulge her. So when Cindy put the brakes on, Miranda whined and gossiped to other people again. Miranda threw a fit when Cindy took down her own chat group shortly after, but she still kept causing trouble and refused to lay off pushing Star Wars on the women. When Ocean would not respond to any manipulation and control tactics, many chat messages about random subjects, silent treatment punishments, etc. Miranda finally got through to Ocean on a live call and bullied her. She told Ocean she was considering walking away from Christianity because she and Cindy weren't giving her attention and allowing Star Wars anymore. Ocean did not knuckle under for Miranda. She only yelled back in disgust that if Miranda wanted to give anything up, it should be Star Wars and not Christianity. A real Christian would never even say this as a joke. Miranda still bothered Ocean, Cindy, and Alyssa after that. She bullied Alyssa with guilt-tripping sympathy ploys against Cindy and Ocean, claiming they were ganging up on her, and telling Alyssa that if she was going to take their side, she was not the friend Miranda thought she was. If they had ganged up, they would have been the ones calling and messaging Miranda to taunt her about Star Wars. But they were shutting down the fights she started and discussing the problem among themselves to stop her constant scheming in their lives. It was Miranda who was the poor excuse of a friend. She had psychologically abused Alyssa for ages, taking advantage of her kindness and desire for friendship, then throwing her away when Alyssa wouldn't do whatever Miranda wanted. This was especially true when it came to chat role play. Star Wars was the reason Miranda dumped Alyssa for Ocean in the first place, and she had even tried to get Ocean to bully her after that. Now Miranda swung back, trying to coerce Alyssa into dumping Cindy and Ocean so she could be used for Star Wars just like before. Ocean and Cindy showed Alyssa support and encouragement so she was able to stand her ground. This time she wouldn't be left standing alone if Miranda tossed her away again. But finally, Miranda got herself tossed when she imposed Star Wars on Ocean one more time. Too many. She just refused to take a hint or recognize that Ocean, Cindy's, and Alyssa's final rejection of Star Wars did not have an expiry date. Still grieving her mother's death and utterly spent from exposure to Miranda's constant impositions, Ocean determined enough was enough, and it was time to cut ties with Miranda until she grew up. Alyssa and Cindy agreed. Miranda was not going to just let them make any decision about having her in or out of their lives. She could not stand having even that beyond her control. So she turned on Cindy and Ocean and sicked her mom on Ocean and Alyssa. She also judged them as losers and freaks. Cindy and Ocean found out about that through other people Miranda had gossiped and lied to. And yes, Miranda included Star Wars in her venomous vitriol. While they were relieved Miranda stomped out of their lives, they were bitterly disappointed in her. Ditching people over something as stupid as Star Wars just proved all of Miranda's over-the-top declarations of "I love you" and "I'm so glad to have you as a friend" and the like were just sweet nothings. Ocean had collected some Star Wars items while associating with Miranda, who had also given her a few during that time. But Ocean gave all of it away. She wanted no more Star Wars in her life, and Miranda would never get another chance either. But Cindy and Ocean were not so fortunate as to have Miranda completely out of their lives. She turned up in the form of harassment by other people. Miranda was really not so mentally delayed as she originally caused Ocean to believe. She waged a prolonged cyberbullying and smear campaign against Cindy and Ocean, especially Ocean, who not only got out from under her control, but also helped two others, meaning Alyssa and Cindy, to escape it as well. Miranda sicked various people on Ocean, going so far as trying to dox her to at least one of them. Everything Miranda was guilty of, she accused Cindy and Ocean of doing. Cindy was incensed at the name-calling, and Ocean was far more outraged at Miranda's bloodthirsty, sadistic, narcissistic lust for power and revenge than at the names themselves. Miranda even went as far as trying to split Cindy and other people who knew her apart. She wanted to use them to then split Cindy and Ocean apart. She failed, and Cindy, Ocean, and Alyssa only became true friends, closer than before.